The music was pumping through our brand-new speakers, a deep bassline VY bratting the walls of our cozy townhouse. Laughter spilled from the kitchen where my girlfriend, Emily, was shaking up cocktails like a pro. About 20 of our closest friends were scattered around, clinking glasses, swapping stories, and soaking in the glow of our first real home together. I was just about to raise my beer for a cheesy toast to adulting done right, when the front door flew open with a bang that could have woken the dead. In stormed a woman wrapped in a garish pink bathrobe, her gray hair a wild mess, gripping a clipboard like it was her ticket to world domination. Her eyes blazed with the kind of fury you only see in someone who's crowned themselves the queen of the block. "This isn't Saw illegal gathering. Saw," she screeched, her voice slicing through the music like a knife. "You saw renters saw our scum, ruining our neighborhood." The room froze. 20 pairs of eyes locked onto this unhinged intruder who just crashed our party without so much as a knock. Before I could even blink, she marched to my entertainment system and ripped the power cord out of the wall. The music died with a pathetic whine, Leah VYing only her ragged breathing and someone's awkward cough. She spun around, jabbing her pen at me like a dagger. "You've got Saw 5 minutes, Saw, to clear out this Saw illegal assembly, Saw, or I'm calling the cops." I stood there, dumbfounded, as our perfect night unraveled. Let me back up a bit to explain how Emily and I ended up in what I now know was a suburban nightmare dressed up as paradise. 3 months earlier, we'd been hunting for a place to call our own. After endless apartment tours, we stumbled across Maple Grove Estates, a shiny new townhouse development with granite countertops, stainless steel appliances, and rent that didn't make us want to cry. The leasing agent mumbled something about an HOA, but she breezed past it so fast we barely noticed. Our next-door neighbor, Mrs. Lopez, tried to warn us during our first week. She showed up with a warm casserole and a grim look, whispering about a woman named Linda Harper, who lived in the biggest house 3 streets over. According to Mrs. Lopez, Linda had made it her life's mission to terrorize renters. Conv Wine said they were single-handedly tanking property values. Emily and I chuckled, thinking it was just small-town gossip. Every neighborhood has a nosy busybody, right? We couldn't have been more wrong. We'd spent weeks planning this housewarming party, keeping the guest list tight and the VYB chill. Emily had slaved over appetizers and decked out the Lee VYing room with balloons and streamers. I'd curated the perfect playlist, testing the volume to ensure it wouldn't bother anyone. We'd even checked the community guidelines, nothing about banning private gatherings. The night started like a dream. Friends rolled in with wine and gifts. My old college buddy, Mike, drove 3 hours to be there, and Emily's sister, Claire, flew in from Seattle. Everyone was oohing and awing over our place, and I remember thinking, Saw, this is what happiness feels like. Saw. Then I saw her. I was grabbing beers from the kitchen when I caught a shadow MOVYing outside our sliding glass door. Someone was pressed against our back fence, aiming what looked like a phone camera at our windows. When I stepped closer, she ducked, but not before I saw her scribbling in a notebook like a low-rent detective. I told Emily, who shrugged and said to ignore it. 20 minutes later, the pounding on our door was so aggressive, I thought it was a SWAT team. I opened it to find a woman in her late 50s, blonde hair styled to perfection, makeup caked on like she was auditioning for a reality show. She clutched that same notebook, now paired with a printed stack of what I assumed were HOA rules. "I'm Linda Harper, president of the Maple Grove Estates Homeowners Association," she announced, launching into a tirade about noise ordinances and community standards. She rattled off VY olation excessive noise after 8 p.m., parking on the street, disturbing the peaceful enjoyment of residents like she was reading from a script. She demanded we shut down the party or face consequences. I tried to stay calm, explaining we were within our rights to have friends over and had kept the noise low. Emily joined me, offering to turn the music down if anyone had complained. Linda's response? A smug sneer. "Renters like you have Saw no right, Saw, here except to pay rent and obey the rules." When we politely refused to end our party, her fake smile vanished. "People like you are Saw destroying Saw this neighborhood," she spat, calling us renter trash with venom dripping from every word. I shut the door, hoping that was the end of it. Our friends overheard enough to get the gist, and Mike cracked a joke about it being a rite of passage. We turned the music back on, quieter this time, and tried to salvage the night. That lasted all of 45 minutes. Linda returned, this time armed with a battery-powered bullhorn and a stack of papers that looked like legal documents. She planted herself on the sidewalk in front of our house and started blasting her complaints to the entire neighborhood. This illegal gathering saw violats HOA standards, she bellowed, her voice echoing for blocks. Between announcements, she stalked our guests' cars, snapping photos of license plates and yelling about their criminal behavior. Half our friends, fed up with the drama, started making excuses to leave. I watched our perfect party crumble because of one woman's obsession with control. I'd had enough. I marched outside and told her to stop harassing her guests. She turned the bullhorn on me, blasting in my face that I had no authority as a renter. She bragged about calling the police, smirking like she'd already won. They're coming to shut you down, she taunted, checking her phone for updates. Her confidence was almost comical, like she genuinely believed the cops would haul us all away. When Officer Daniels arrived 10 minutes later, he looked like he was expecting a routine noise complaint. Instead, he found Linda in the street, while VYing a garden rake she'd grabbed from someone's yard, screaming about renter infiltration through her bullhorn. He approached her first, probably because she was the loudest thing in a 3-block radius. Big mistake. Linda unleashed a 20-minute rant about her HOA presidency and our crimes against the community, demanding he arrest us for trespassing, disturbing the peace, and violating noise ordinances. She swung the rake for emphasis, ignoring his request to calm down. When she raised the bullhorn again, he warned her she was the one disturbing the peace. That's when the neighbors stepped in. Mrs. Lopez showed up with videos of Linda's months-long reign of terror. An older man from down the street described her harassing both renters and homeowners with her made-up rules. A young couple with a baby revealed she'd called CPS on them for letting their toddler play outside after 6 p.m. Officer Daniels' face hardened as he realized Linda was the real problem. He asked her to justify barging into our home and confronting our guests. She doubled down, ranting about her elected authority. When he pointed out she was standing in the street with a weapon and a bullhorn, she lost it, turning her wrath on him. She lectured him about supporting property owners over transient renters and called him incompetent. That did it. "Ma'am, you're under arrest," he said, pulling out handcuffs. The charges? Disorderly conduct, trespassing, and threatening behavior. Linda shrieked about conspiracies and renter scum as he read her rights, still clutching her clipboard like it could save her. As she was led to the squad car, she twisted to glare at Emily and me, vowing we'd hear from her lawyer. The bullhorn and rake lay on the sidewalk, relics of her unhinged performance. Our remaining guests stood in stunned silence until Mike burst out laughing. The tension shattered, and everyone started swapping stories about what they'd just witnessed. Claire was already planning to make this her go-to-party anecdote. 3 days later, we got a letter from the Maple Grove HOA board. Linda had been ousted as president, effective immediately. They apologized for her behavior, and clarified we had every right to enjoy our home. Turns out, the board had been itching to ditch her for months, and her arrest was the final straw. Linda got 6 months of probation, 40 hours of community service, and due law $3,000 in fines. At her sentencing, she stood up and argued about HOA authority, earning a contempt charge and an extra due law $500 fine. Her shocked face as the bailiff approached was, by all accounts, priceless. This wasn't just a housewarming party, it was a neighborhood showdown that exposed a tyrant in a bathrobe. But it left me wondering, was Linda just a power-hungry bully, or did she genuinely believe she was protecting her community? Should HOAs have this much control over private homes, especially for renters? And how far would you go to stand up to someone like her? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button if you're team renter, and subscribe for more wild stories like this. Let's get this debate rolling.